Hello. In this video, we will talk about the first house in astrology. The first house, also known as the ascendant or the horoscope, is one of the most important houses in a birth chart in astrology. It represents the starting point of the astrological wheel and has a significant influence on the individual. It is the gateway to the astrological chart, representing our facade, the first impression we give to the world. If we had to give it a symbolic name, we would call it I am. It speaks of our immediate behavior, our instinctive reactivity to events. This house symbolizes not only our physical appearance, but also our temperament, the way we start things, and the way we approach life. If planets are in this house, they will tend to color our personality and will be particularly visible to others. The ascendant also gives clues about the initial trajectory of our life, guiding our first steps. It is the reflection of our ego, our identity, and our will. General meaning: personality and appearance. The first house describes the outward personality, instinctive behavior, and physical appearance. It influences the way a person presents themselves to the world. Vitality and health. It gives indications about vitality and general state of health, often influenced by the astrological sign present there. First impressions. This house determines the first impressions that one gives to others. Ascendant. Ascendant sign. The sign that rises on the horizon at the time of birth is the ascendant. It modifies and nuances the characteristics of the individual's sun sign. Planets in the first house. Planets in this house strongly influence the personality and the way the individual interacts with their environment. First house axis. 1-7th axis. The first house is directly opposite the 7th house, which represents relationships and partnerships. This axis is crucial because it highlights the contrast between the self, first house, and others, 7th house. Signs and planets associated with the first house. The ruling sign of the first house is Aries. The sign of Aries, ruled by Mars, is the sign associated with the first house. It represents energy, initiative, and assertiveness. Challenges in the first house can be related to Aries themes, such as aggression, competitiveness, and impulsiveness. The ruling planet of the first house is Mars. Mars is the planet that rules the first house and the sign of Aries. It represents action, motivation, and desire. A distressed position of Mars can indicate issues with assertiveness, internal conflicts, problems with managing personal energy, or difficulty expressing one's will. First house wound. Wound in the first house can manifest as a lack of self-confidence, difficulty asserting oneself, or projecting a coherent image of oneself. It can also involve issues related to physical appearance or how one is perceived by others. Personality and appearance. A wound in the first house can affect how a person perceives themselves and is perceived by others. This can include issues with self-esteem, body image, or personal identity. Vitality and health. Since the first house is related to vitality, an injury here can manifest as chronic health problems or physical weakness. First impressions. Individuals may have difficulty making good first impressions or feel uncomfortable in social situations. The first house in psychological astrology. Personal development. Ego and identity. The first house is closely related to the ego and the formation of identity. It describes how the individual perceives himself and wishes to be perceived. Defense mechanisms. Instinctive behaviors and defense mechanisms against the outside world are also illustrated by this house. Relationship with the environment. Social interactions. It influences the way a person interacts with his immediate environment and reacts to new situations. Self-esteem. The first house is related to self-esteem and self-confidence, indicating how the individual asserts himself in life. Planets in the first house. Planetary influence. Planets in this house bring distinct psychological influences that shape character traits and behaviors. Sun in the first house strengthens the sense of identity, will, and self-expression. Moon in the first house makes the individual emotionally reactive, with strong sensitivity and intuition. Mars in the first house gives dynamic energy, initiative, and a fighting spirit. Saturn in the first house can also symbolize excessive rigor, harsh self-criticism, and emotional barriers related to personal assertion. Psychological injury of the first house. Self-esteem and identity. Psychologically, the first house is linked to the formation of personal identity and self-esteem. A wound in this house can manifest itself as feelings of inadequacy, difficulty feeling at home, or presenting oneself authentically. Defense mechanisms. Individuals can develop defense mechanisms to protect their ego, such as aggression or manipulation, when they feel vulnerable or rejected. House 1 in karmic astrology. Role and meaning. Past incarnations. In karmic astrology, the first house can reveal information about past lives and character traits or habits brought into the current life. Karmic resources. Challenges encountered in the first house can be related to karmic lessons about self-affirmation, energy management, and balancing independence and dependence. Life mission. It can indicate the current life mission, karmic lessons to be learned, and talents to be developed. Lunar node impact. North node and south node. The positions of the lunar nodes in the birth chart in relation to the first house can give indications on the karmic directions that the individual should follow or avoid. Karmic planets. Saturn, Pluto, Lilith, Chiron, and the lunar nodes. These celestial bodies are particularly significant in karmic astrology, and their position in the first house can reveal important karmic aspects, and wounds that associated with this house can have profound implications in various aspects of a person's life. For example, the North Node in the first house suggests a focus on independence and self-development, while the South Node in the first house can indicate past tendencies towards selfishness or excessive individualism. Chiron in the first house represents a deep wound that has karmic roots. This wound is often related to the way the individual expresses and lives his or her identity. Saturn's presence in the first house can also signal karmic challenges associated with personal authority, self-image, and inner security. First house karmic wound. Past life lessons. A karmic wound in the first house can indicate challenges brought from past lives regarding personal identity, ego, or physical body. This can include past experiences of rejection, abandonment, or betrayal that affect current self-perception. Life mission. The first house can reveal one's current life mission and karmic lessons to be learned. A wound here can suggest the need to work on self-esteem, self-confidence, and assertiveness. Conclusion. The first house is therefore a fundamental pillar of the birth chart, offering a deep understanding of personality, vitality, ego, and instinctual behaviors. Whether viewed from a traditional, karmic, or psychological astrology perspective, the first house plays a central role in determining who we are and how we interact with the world around us. By analyzing this house, one can gain valuable insights into the individual's inner motivations, karmic challenges, and psychological dynamics. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please like and don't forget to subscribe for more future content.